Great defeaters, new and old. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another surprising episode of The Breakdown with your hosts, BaseDaKID, Tony, the reserve pugilist boy. We are the children of the game. Now, Tony, I know you're not feeling great, but how you doing? You in good spirits after the
Yeah,
weekend?
yeah. I've just got a little bit of a cold, so you're gonna be the main focus today. But yeah, here to support you with all the back end stuff. Yeah, welcome guys. Thank you for joining us once again. It's great to see that the great defeaters have already started to make their presence felt in the chat. So without further delay, let me tell you who's in the house. Early
Please.
doors, Mulla, big up my guy, Bruce Kai, Uncle Jonah, and Osborne. Welcome, gentlemen.
Nice. What's up, what's up, guys? What's up, ladies that are due to be on their way in shortly, fashionably late. But look, we had a by the recent standards, we had a rather reserved week of boxing because we only had like one big card on, essentially. However, it was probably the biggest in terms of profile card we've had for the year thus far. And obviously, there was a massive upset in some people's minds with regards to Dimitri Bivol beating Canelo Alvarez. Now, me personally, I didn't think it was an upset because I had actually predicted for Bivol to win this fight. Just felt like too big, technically very good, great feet, movement in and out. Everything that Canelo hates as an opponent was everything that Dimitri Bivol did, plus almost every shot that Canelo hit him with. It's like none of it really affected him. He said he was hurt a couple times in the fight, but it was never anything where it was visible to anyone other than maybe himself, which is always great to have a good poker face. Now, what I will want to say about this fight specifically, and I need to watch it again because there's a lot of little intricacies that I missed sort of the first time I was watching it in stages. But one thing that I did notice is what Canelo usually does, especially in his recent years, is that he hits people with something that then makes them shell up for the majority of the rounds, and they might try and sort of win a round here and there, or they'll pour with the jab. They'll try to keep him off them, but he hits them with something where they're like, I don't want to get hit with that again. However, what Dimitri Bivol did to counter that, and we'll talk about everything else in a moment, but the good thing what he done is every time Canelo went to throw a power shot at him, unless he was spinning himself off the ropes, he threw a power shot back to say, no, we're not doing this on your dime. Like if I'm working, you're working as well. And I feel like that was one of the major things that obviously helped him to gas out Canelo. Because let's be honest, like Canelo's tank was finished from like round 3, round 4. After that, everything was literally just about his ring IQ and in being able to, stay on the ropes and stay evade punishment, so to speak. I mean, he had moments, but Bivol just managed the pace well. Um, the extra weight clearly isn't good for Canelo. Everyone's talking about the whole vegan diet thing, whether that plays a factor or not. Who knows? It depends on what would happen in the very next fight. But yeah, ultimately, like if we look at, here's how I want to kind of do. So I want to break this down into a couple of segments. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the style matchup. Now, one thing we've seen of Canelo of recent, he's been very much in love with his power. And that's literally all he's doing is walking people down, setting up for hard shots. He's not jabbing, he's not creating angles, he's not sort of pump faking to see what someone reacts to and what they don't, like he was doing in the fights prior to the second Golovkin fight. Everything is literally, I'm gonna walk you down, I'm gonna mentally make you tired, I'm gonna throw something heavy that then makes you back off. And wait, where have I gone? I'm off the screen. Tony, what have you done? Okay. Yeah, what was I saying? So yeah, so he's basically been put in a situation right now where by he's been looking for everything's power, everything's about getting someone, sort of getting them out of their comfort zone, making them mentally have to think about what's going on. Whereas what Bivol, what his best attributes are is number one, staying highly composed, using smart footwork in and out. So, but it's none of it is bouncy. It's all very sort of light, small movements. He's got good lateral movement. He steps in behind his jab very well. He lets off a 1-2 or a 1-2-1, then he exits back out. Like he never stays in the pocket longer than he needs to make sure that he has his maximum effectiveness. And you could just tell that his shots, it was pretty much all straight punches, minus maybe a few where there was like a couple of bent arms. Everything was literally like textbook amateur, but sort of amateur with pro pedigree, I would call it. That's probably the best way I would stipulate his style on the night. And just being too rangy, just being as good a boxer in terms of IQ, being a naturally bigger guy, with the bigger dimensions, it was just all a bit too much for Canelo. As I said, when it comes to the whole vegan diet thing, we would have to see if that continues and see if it affects anything moving forward. But I think Bivol showed that against guys that aren't faded or in the twilights of their careers, maybe 175 isn't Canelo's weight class, which we knew anyway. But there's no discredit to what happened. Like at the end of the day, like he's done something in that fight that a good 75% of other quote unquote elite or world level fighters would have done. So huge congrats to him, and obviously commiserations for the loss, but also huge congrats to Dimitri Bivol, who proved that he belongs on the big stage, and hopefully now he can get his respect and see whatever happens moving forward. Tony, do you have anything quickly you want to say regarding that?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with most of what you said. In relation to diet, I don't know if that really impacted him hugely. He did seem a little bit subdued in comparison to previous fights in terms of intensity, because that to me would be where I would look for improvement. If I was to go for the rematch, then the intensity has to change. It has to be far more busy than it was on Saturday night. But I don't know if that's something down to the vegan diet. I myself have been vegan for 4 years now. It doesn't really affect me in terms of my physical capabilities, and I'm considerably older than he is. But each person is different, so it might have had an effect.
Well, here's
But
a
I just
question
think,
to you. Sorry, before you carry
yeah,
on. With regards to it for you, did you feel any different at the start as opposed to now? Because obviously your body's gotten used to it. But what about back
yeah.
then?
No, I actually didn't. A lot of people ask me, "Hey, did I lose weight?" Which no, I didn't, because I didn't turn vegan to lose weight. So my weight has never changed. And in terms of physicality, I didn't see a drop off. But then I must admit, I didn't just jump from eating meat to not eating meat. I did it in a staggered fashion. So I was eating vegetarian, meat at the weekends, then cut the meat, vegetarian, then vegetarian to vegan, vegan, vegetarian, then vegan, vegan. So it's never, it wasn't like all of a sudden my body has to deal with a lack of protein or a lack of any nutrients that I would normally get from meat.
Okay.
Some comments there for you to have a look at. If
All
I
right.
go through them for
Let me
you.
read this one. Okay, so Bruce Kai says, like I said on Twitter, if you were shocked at the fight or said it was an upset of any sort, you don't know your boxing. I agree with that. I mean, to a casual, I guess A-Ob says Bivol cooked him. I mean, yeah, he put that ginger on the roast. He always answers with a combo. That was one thing Bivol definitely did. Bruce Kai says Canelo has also regressed as a fighter. Look at his movement in the Jacobs fight, and look at this one. No jab, no head movement. Right. Before you go on with that, with regards to the head movement, I slightly disagree. But what I will say is, I don't feel like he's regressed. I feel like he's not utilizing all the skills because he hasn't had to. He's gotten lazy. That's what I think. Because everyone he's been fighting, he's been able to fight them in this way that's effective for getting them out of there. Now, sometimes it's hard to get that back. If you ever, sometimes it's hard to get that back when if you've been used to doing something, it's hard to snap out of it. So you might be right in the terms of he might not be as sharp now as he was back then, but I definitely don't know if I would say it's regression. I think he's got a bit of the Wilder syndrome at the moment. He's in love with the power because the power's been doing it when he hasn't had to utilize the other skills. Now that he's had this situation with Bivol, maybe in his next fight he might go back to moving a bit more, like bending at the waist, the lateral movement, more head movement, more jabs in and out, fakes and stuff. He might end up doing that. Danny says, are you saying that Bivol just kept it simple with the jab and the 1-2 combo? What I'm saying, Danny, is that was his method of choice. That's pretty much the punches that were effective against Canelo because he kept him at long range for the majority of the time. Even when they went sort of head to head, he would step back ever so slightly to extend that range so that he then got his maximum leverage on his straight punches because Canelo's a hooker, and Bivol's a straight, and Bivol's sort of a straight guy in terms of his punch selection. So that's what he was doing primarily. Untraceable done.
If you've got the reach, then that's what you utilize. That's your advantage. You want to keep your guy away from his power, which is the short hooks, the uppercuts, and you want to keep him on the end of your jab. So perfect strategy, perfectly executed by Dimitri Bivol.
Of course. Bruce Kai says Canelo should swerve the rematch. You know what? Before you carry on with that, Bruce, I feel what he should do if he really wants the rematch. Yeah, this is about pride at this point. But if he wants the rematch, I would suggest, and I'll put this comment on one of Ring IQ's videos yesterday. He should do the fight or accept the fight at 168 pounds for so all of his belts are on the line, but also put a stipulation for the WBA super light heavyweight title to be on the line as well, similar to what Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz did back in 2020. Personally, because that makes the fight a whole lot bigger in terms of now Canelo's got something to lose, Bivol's got something to lose, and it goes to now it's supposedly Canelo's weight class. So can Bivol do it again, and can he chase greatness also? Because now there's a chance for him to be a 2-division champion and the undisputed Russian champion, which I'm not sure there's ever been in any of those weights. So to me, that makes perfect sense.
Jam Down comes in. Canelo has a very similar performance against Plant, but unlike Bivol, Canelo was able to find the body a lot easier, and Plant couldn't handle Canelo's punch power, which is fair point.
Yeah.
Boxing pound for pound, Jack. He beat him so bad, and he forgot how to speak English afterwards. It's an ass whooping.
That's true.
Danny, who picked Bivol way before, says Canelo's head movement and waist movement is still there. It's just the feet are more planted and ploddy.
Yeah, so and the more weight he puts on his body, the less fleet of foot he's going to be able to be.
Yeah.
All right, so Danny says, based on your viewing of the fight, what do you think Reynoso's game plan was for the Bivol fight? Quite frankly, it was the exact same game plan he had for Callum Smith. He thought the same thing would work because they got similar dimension, similar height. They fought in a similar style. He just thought it would work, but didn't, basically. Does the fight look different at 168? I think a little bit, because even though Bivol says he can make it, he's never competed at that weight professionally. So we don't know if his resistance is going to be the same at 168 as it is at 175. But his skills will still be there. And I will assume that as he's a guy that doesn't blow up in weight in between fights, his gas tank should probably be better. provided he can make the weight safely and doesn't sort of just try and do it, you know, the last couple of weeks of training camp or something. But I heard that even when he rehydrated in the ring, he only went up to about 183, 184 pounds. So he doesn't blow up massive. So yeah, it's
I mean,
it should be all right.
I've got something to say on that, because I would be very wary of Bivol coming down. It doesn't sound a lot, but I think it could make a huge difference. No doubt there might be some rehydration clause put in place if he goes down to 168. I'd be very dubious of how that fights get set. I mean, your idea of both guys putting the title in each weight category up for grabs is a fantastic idea. I would love to see that. I think that would be definitely the reason for that fight, without a doubt, becoming one of the biggest drawing fights of the year if it happens in that way.
100%.
But I would certainly, you know, if it was only for the super middle title, I'd be a little bit careful if I was Bivol, just because, you know, if they put in stupid, you know, weight, you know, clauses, then it might become a bit problematic for him.
I mean, I hear that, and obviously you say it doesn't sound like a lot. £7 is a lot to lose and still perform, but ultimately he says that he's not a big 175 and that he can make it, and he's been saying that for years. So it's not like oh I'm just going to try and do it now for the payday. He said that for the last sort of 4 years. I can make 168. I just prefer to be comfortable. So realistically, if he can make it and he wants to, like I said, this would be his quickest route to undisputed. That is guaranteed, because the undisputed at 175 at the moment isn't guaranteed, because you've got Beterbiev versus Joe Smith Jr. But then you don't know if you get the instant crack at them afterwards. You don't know if Bob Arum's going to sanction it, because we're not sure exactly what their contract deal is at the moment, whether they're still, I thought they was both supposed to be out of their top rank contracts, but supposedly they're not at the minute. So if you want a chance at an undisputed belt, that's now the easiest option, because that's on the same side of the street as you, for lack of a better phrase. And if you win that, you instantly get the chance to fight for the undisputed or the unified at 175 anyway, because you'll be a super champ at the weight below. So you know, there's ways to they make sense. But yeah, it's all about health. If he can't do it healthy, then don't do it. But if he can, and he really wants that you know, he wants to take those titles off of Canelo, I mean, hey, why not?
Yeah. And I mean, talking about going down and doing it, you know, it makes me think, you know, more guys need to be doing this. I know you know, you want to, if you want to clean up your division, you stay there and you wait around, and you know, you bide your time to get at the other champions. But there is still a lot of guys who you think, well, if you're chasing greatness, you need to go through weights. You know, it's been proven. Most of the all-time greats, sub heavyweight, have gone through weights and have achieved their greatness because of what they've done at other weights. I mean, let's be honest. Manny Pacquiao at featherweight, you know, is he a legend just because of what he does at featherweight? Hell no. You know, he's a good fighter, but all-time greatness is achieved because he went all the way up. And same with Floyd. So it makes you think now, okay, of the so-called really top elite fighters, obviously Errol is in his Errol is in one division. He's yet to go even touch the next weight up. You know, where you're thinking like, you know, like when Sugar Ray Leonard was at his peak, you know, he just jumped up quickly into from welter up to light middle, picked off Sambu Kalambe, came back down, fought again, then he went up all the way to middle. You know, Errol has yet to taste light middle. So you're like, well, you know what? If you're all that and you think you're all that, go taste the light middle. Show us what you can do at light middle, because you can still hold on to that belt. I mean, Leo Santa Cruz has held his super featherweight belt for how long?
Yeah,
You know
that's
what
a
I'm
joke.
saying? So
I mean, but I think it's only the WBA that will let you get away with it for that long.
yeah. But I just see now that, you know, with people questioning Canelo's greatness in terms of, you know, some people want to say he's cherry picking here and there, that, you know what he's doing should be the blueprint for every fighter. And it's something we've seen historically in the game. So more champions should be doing that, you know.
I agree. Right, if Bivol does go down and beat Canelo again, what does it do to Canelo's legacy? To be honest, it does nothing to his legacy. He's still the first ever Mexican undisputed champion in the four belt era, four division four division champion in general. You know, still got a stellar record with loads of A class and sort of, you know, upper B level stars on there. It doesn't tarnish the legacy at all. It just means that he found his match. He met his match. Every fighter has one. So yeah, it does nothing.
Mm. It's a vegan weight class.
Man, like you're done for. You man. Right, it's absurd that now because someone loses, it removes their great status. Lennox is a great, got KO'd by someone he shouldn't have. It happens. We should commend Canelo. Of course, I 100% agree, Bruce.
Okay. So,
Right.
shall we move
Even at
on?
heavy, oops, was right. Even at heavyweight, you have to overcompensate by fighting every top fighter in your weight class to even be considered for pound for pound. True. Emma Muller High, McTasty and Chips just finished work. Okay.
Hi, Emma.
All right. Now,
Yeah, so we're done there.
yeah, so obviously we've spoke about sort of that fight a little bit and what we possibly think might happen afterwards. Um, Outside of that, I feel like if we touch on a little bit of the undercard, because I mean it was decent. You know, I still haven't watched the whole thing like in its entirety because I was out Saturday night and I kind of got back home just in time for the main event. Well, just actually no, I saw Love Valenzuela and I saw the knockout of from Zile Zhang. So with regards to that, if I talk about that Zile Zhang fight real quick. All right, so it was one round, nothing really to break down. However, what he does do very well is he has a very good probing jab. He never fuds his jab out there. It's always, even when it's heavy, it's always just there as his range finder, just to make sure that the guy is there so he can line the guy up with the right for the straight backhand left. He did it quite a bit against Jerry Forrest. He did it in his last fight against I can't remember the guy's name now, but he did it in his very last fight, and he did in this fight as well to sort of great applause. Like it was a pitch perfect straight left, and you know Scott Alexander basically he was out. He was probably out from about half a second after the punch connected. He was out on his way to the ground. He was out on the ground. I don't know when he actually revived himself, but ultimately, like Zhang is an older guy, got that old man strength,
Craig Lewis.
277 pounds. Like he's a big guy, 6'7". Um, he him against Hrgovic. Now, even though I still think Hrgovic will be too good for him overall, just in terms of like movement, speed, aggression. Hrgovic, I feel like he's not going to be able to just walk Zhang down and act like he's been acting and just sort of like not respecting people's power. He's going to have to get back a bit to his amateur days because he doesn't want to be tasting those shots. I don't think he might have a great chin, but I definitely don't think he wants to have it tested after seeing what Zhang's done with. Even in his lackluster performances, you've still seen the way he's hurt his opponents with that left hand. So the Big Bang is definitely a legit weapon. So I feel like Hrgovic needs to be very wary. Did you see that fight? Did you have any comment on it?
Yeah, I mean it was quick anyway, but yeah, I mean I expected it because obviously the guy that they brought in, not a big guy, last minute addition to the card. So it doesn't really tell me anything that I didn't know about Zhile Zhang. You know, it doesn't do anything for the rankings in terms of his position in the top 10 or outside of it if you put him there. You know, the heavyweight division is very, very interesting right now because yes, Hrgovic when he comes back, you know, is up there, and will they look to make that match up again? If they don't, then there's loads of good fights in the heavyweight division. You know, you like to Tony Yoko, who's fighting this weekend, Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois. Obviously, he's got his title fight with Trevor Bryan, Frank Sanchez, Luis Ortiz. So, you know, even although the heavyweight division right now doesn't appear to be that glamorous, it's still got good names that can make good matchups.
Okay, I hear that. I watched. Okay, so the Shakram Giasov fight. That one was actually. That was an entertaining fight. His styles very awkward. Um, I made a comment on one of my videos that he's got this almost like this mummy crouch, like he hunches over like he's a mummy with just this limbering, just hanging arm. And it's never like it never looks like it's in position to do anything apart from like it's almost like his shoulders detached. It's weird, but he snaps his jab up pretty well, you know, from that position. He sets up he sets up shots pretty well. He's got pretty good footwork. He's able to get sort of in and out quite quickly, and he's definitely a guy that when he senses blood, he goes for the kill. That almost cost him a couple times as well, though, because he got caught while trying to sort of finish Gomez. But I mean, he got Gomez. He put him down like 3 different times in the fight. So overall, I feel like you know, Shakram Giasov could be a future. He could be a future contender for those weight divisions. Did you see any of that fight?
I didn't
Thoughts, real
know.
quick? No.
No.
All right. So then, I'm not really going to talk much about Mark Castro. He was another unanimous decision. He performed better in this one than his last fight when I believe he got dropped. But ultimately, I feel like his transition from his amateur pedigree is taking a bit longer than I thought it would. But he's got the skills. The raw ingredients are there, so we'll see where he goes moving forward. Now let's talk about Montana Love versus Valenzuela.
Did see that one.
Now, with regards to Montana, and actually, I like Montana Love a lot. I think he's charismatic. I feel like he's a guy that could legit be a star in terms of marquee like attraction and appeal. The skills at the moment, they're good, but there's nothing special about sort of him in that sense. What I will say is, from what I do know, he's had like 5 fights in the last 13 months, I believe. So he could quite possibly be a little bit tired and fatigued. I heard rumors that he didn't look particularly that great, sort of leading up to the weigh-in or whatnot. But one thing I do feel like is, as much as I like his personality, I don't want his out of the ring persona to do too much clouding of his in-ring game. Like, for instance, that ring walk, him walking there, that just felt wrong. It felt too long. It felt like he wasn't focused on what he's supposed to be doing. And yeah, you want to showboat to the crowd.
Yeah,
so,
go on, finish that
Oh,
sentence.
yeah. I know you want to, people want to showboat to the crowd. You want to, get your personality out there, let people feel the energy. But sometimes you need to make sure that you're zoned in and locked into your fight. And I feel like he didn't respect his opponent enough, which is what ended up, number one, getting him dropped for the first time in his career in the second round. And number two is what made the fight harder than it needed to be, because he just wasn't. I don't feel like he was fully engaged in, okay, if I do X, Y, and Z, I can set this up, and then I can essentially make this an easy night's work. It was a lot harder than it needed to be. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, so I wanted to proceed the fight itself with the weigh-in because I noticed he's very cut, very super cut, and he comes in bang on the limit. and it kind of makes me think, I don't know how long this guy's going to keep at that weight, because he's clearly got a thing for working out his body. He loves, you know, he's one of them guys. He's got the tattoos all over. You know, he must be in that tattoo studio every month. But he's literally got 0 body fat on the scales. And then you go, rah, you came in right on the money. Now, is he tight at the weight, and therefore has he got limited amount of time to do work at that weight division before he has to move up to welterweight?
Personally, I feel like I don't feel like he'll be there for too much longer. I agree with you. He's always like you said, he comes in bang on, and it's never like he looks stupendous and he looks relaxed. He always looks a little like, I won't say gaunt. It's not gaunt, but he just looks a little bit dry on the scales. And the problem's gonna be, obviously, if he's not making the weight correctly, or he's doing his best and he can only just about kind of get down to that 140. His problem will be the fact that he won't be a decent sized 147, because I think he's only like 5'7" or 5'8" in height. So when you now come up, his dimensions aren't conducive to you know, sort of to that welterweight limit, because the guy Valenzuela was like about 5'10", with a 2-inch reach advantage, and you saw the struggles he had with him, and that's at 140. So imagine when you get to like these 147 pounders that are guys who really could be 154 or 160 guys masquerading, it could be a bit of an issue. The one good thing he does have is the fact that he's got a very good chin, and he seems to be able to he's got good sort of danger management. Like when he gets hurt or when he gets hit, he manages to kind of evade everything else of substance in the rest of that flurry, and you know, he's quite good at tying up as well. So
can I just mention that chin thing, because clearly they both went down, but I don't know if you recognize, but they both went down from the same shot. That
yeah,
shot over, and it hits on the top of the head. And I
yeah.
kind of was like suspicious of the first one, thinking that's not really a knockdown, is it? And then it
It was
happened
more, he
again.
guided him down more than anything. It was more
Yeah.
like but because it was a scoring blow, it was, you know.
Blow, yeah.
But both of them were a case of being caught cold, even though Montana's one looked heavier, but his
That's right.
reaction, yeah, his reaction getting up was actually was a lot more comfortable. Like Venezuela got up, was like, oh, like what happened there? Whereas
Yeah.
Montana got up, like, oh, okay, good shot. All right, I'll give you that one. It was so his faculties was definitely there, but there was definitely more of a tell there. However, like I said, when it comes to, obviously when I say chin, I'm thinking of when you get hit here, and every time he gets hit there, even though he sometimes he does lift his chin up, and he needs to sort of stop that, because if that does happen, you know, against maybe someone like a Jose Zapata, then he might be in real big trouble. But he never seems to get, as hard as I've seen him hit, I've never seen him like badly rocked and, you know, stumbling all over the place. He always seems to eat the shots and just carry on moving forward. So that's one thing I will rate sort of about him, and I feel like he'll go. I definitely feel like he'll win a world title, especially when they all start getting fragmented, because he'll get put into the right position. And if he can just keep doing, you know, sort of doing the right stuff and keeping his name out there, he'll definitely be a guy I feel like that can draw decent crowds, especially in like on the east side of America. And he probably should come over here once or twice as well, because I feel like he'd gain a pretty big fan base over here in the UK also. Now, so that's pretty much everything that happened over the weekend. I'm just going to go into my chat real quick and take a look at some of the comments. Tasty and Chips base is talking real. I appreciate that. Shout out to North Brank. Shout out to Brendan, my guy. Fight Fan TV. Tony Montana had a bad diet. It's been documented. Let's see. Montana Love is a decent fighter, but Bill appears to be that he lacks focus and attention in the ring and gets carried away by the tempo. Broner vibes. I mean, definitely in the way that he, minus the vulgarity, he definitely is sort of a Broner in terms of character. Castro needs to be on some smaller untelevised cards to calm him down a bit. I agree with that. Let's go down to the bottom a little bit. Montana stay away from Regis. Say Fight Fan says his diet's been poor since amateur days. That's what messed him up from going to the Olympics. Interesting. The way Love was elevated to the co-main on the Canelo fight, I can see Eddie trying to pitch Love as a potential opponent in any negotiations with Tank, possibly. Stay blessed, be real. Yes, man, them was good. A Obs, Matthias Regis, Zapada, eat this guy. Yeah, Zapada definitely. Well, actually, you know what? The one thing about Zapata, he's got mad punch power, but his punch resistance is gone. So if you can catch him first, then that could be that could be an issue. But Tyson
If we
Regis,
got, yeah,
that's
if we got,
interesting.
that's not the
You know
real
what?
Ade,
Actually,
is
I
it?
just thought of something.
That's not
So
the
we've
real
got
Ade in
Montana
our
Love,
room, is
right?
it?
So I think we got Montana Love,
Mm.
who's Eddie's little project over in the US at the moment at 140. But we've got Conor Ben, who's a small 147 over here. He's not really a big guy. Would you reckon
Mm.
about possibly that being a fight between them two, like in a couple of years, maybe?
Yeah, that's a great
I think that would be an amazing
matchup.
scrap.
Yeah, that would be. That's a great matchup.
I might have to tweet Eddie on that one and see if we can get that the juices going for that. Maybe 2024 business.
I think we got a
All right.
troll in the room.
So so that's pretty much everything from the week just gone. Now, I know we got a few cards happening this week. Most notably is probably the Jamel Charlo versus Brian Castano rematch for the undisputed super welterweight or the light middleweight championship of the world. I'm not sure if it's going to be KO, but I definitely pick him to win this one on the cards. What about you?
Well, I think we have a difference of opinion here, my friend, because I'm gonna go for Castano win. I honestly don't see what Jamel changes because he tried to box the man. The man just said, "No, you ain't got nothing that makes me want to backstep. You can't hurt me." And I'm just gonna throw every time you throw those that 1-2, yeah, which Jamel likes to do. He likes to throw the 1-2, yeah. I'm coming at you with the hooks and the uppercuts. I like Jamel Charlo. I've always liked Jamel Charlo and Jamal, but of late, I look at the Harrison fight and I think he's become a little bit one-dimensional, and I honestly could see Castano upsetting this one because I'm not sure how much adjustment Jamel Charlo can bring, and if he has sufficient power to make Castano's game slow down, because Castano is going to bring you pressure for all 12 rounds. He knows he was robbed in the first fight. So he's just going to go, well, you know what? I beat the guy once. I just need to up the ante. Remember when Tyson Fury did that to Wilder? He was like, well, I beat you the first time. I didn't get the decision, but I now know what I need to do. So I'm going to stick on the Castano fence on this one.
Okay. Well, like I said, I feel it's just a case of Castano's gonna do what he done before. I feel like Jamel will. I feel he's got the more a chance to make adjustments, and he did hurt Castano on a couple of occasions in that fight. They were both hurt, but Castano was visibly. I feel like he got hurt more in the center of the ring as opposed to Jamel Charlo getting hurt on the ropes. I don't think he's gonna stay on the ropes this time. I think he's gonna hold center and use his size to his advantage. But we've got for next Tuesday to find that one out. Oh, actually, speaking of Tuesdays, so I got to mention something to you from last week, and I'll read that comment in a moment. But remember when I said to you that Canelo's the A side, why is he not on the left side? And you was like, no,
Yeah,
because Bivol was the champion. Who
yeah,
walked
yeah.
first?
That's right. Yeah, yeah. You got me. You got me.
Right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to. So
I was very surprised because I understand he's the A side financially, but how he gets to walk in the ring second, I don't know, because I'm the champion. Yes, you're gonna get the lion's share of the pay, but I'm the champion. I just think with Bivol, he's the kind of guy that goes, you know what, I don't give a monkeys.
I think that's a thing. I do think that if you were the champion and you say no, I'm invoking my right to walk first, I feel that is the case. However, I feel like this one is twofold. Number one, obviously you've got the fact that Canelo is the cash cow, but he's also, it's not like he's also not a champion. Yeah, he may not be the champion in that fight, but I feel like his undisputed ranking and his WBA super status and all of that, and the WBO super status probably made it to a case where there's a loophole that he is allowed to exercise that right in that moment. So not sure, but I would assume that his weight class, his championships of the weight class below, allowed him to be able to do that. But right, going back to Fight Fans comment, I got Castano winning this rematch. Judges ain't gonna rob him this time round. Plus, when Errol beats Terry, Spence can move up and try avenge his amateur defeat to Castano. All right, Danny, we're gonna have to get you on when that final fight gets signed. Me and you are gonna have this breakdown one-on-one. All right, that Castano pressure is different. It's gonna be a great fight. Castano wasn't robbed. Craig Richards gassing again.
No, don't read. That's a troll.
It's a troll. Yeah, it's a troll. I can see. Bivol said he didn't care. He just wanted to fight. Canelo was robbed.
No. What am I doing?
All right. But on the undercard, that fight is going to be a good fight. But my actual fight for that undercard, and I feel that could be the best card or the best fight on the night, or at least like the most interesting to watch stylistically. Jaron Ennis versus Castillo Clayton. You took it right out of my hands. Like, that's a classic pure boxer versus boxer puncher matchup. And in those matchups, it's normally the pure boxer that wins. And Castillo Clayton is definitely a pure boxer. Olympian, Canadian Olympian, great footwork. He's got respectable power, but he's got a very educated jab. It's very hard. You can't just back him into corners and unload on him. Like, his footwork is A1. The only thing I'm not sure about is that I know he's only had one fight in the last 2 years. So that could be a problem in terms of maybe having quote unquote ring rust or whatever. But if his natural skills like show out in this fight, this will definitely be Jaron Ennis's toughest fight, quite frankly. And I feel like I would not, while I think that Ennis will get a decision, I don't think this one ends in a knockout. And I wouldn't be surprised if Castillo Clayton pulls off an upset. I'm not predicting that just yet. I'm going to think about it for the next couple of days, but I wouldn't be surprised at all because his skill set is elite. And no, Clayton's never been dropped as a pro.
I don't think he's been dropped. Yeah. You think Boots
possibly? I mean, he hasn't been in there with any big punches before, so maybe he is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a true believer in Boots Ennis. I do believe this is easily his toughest fight. I respect Castillo Clayton a lot. But I do think I'm a believer in Boots, and I think he'll come through this one. I think this is like a coming out party for him, because if he performs well, then much like with Conor Benn in his last fight, you get to a point where you hit an opponent at a certain level, and it's like your entry. You now gone through, that level. You now have to go up to the next level. Obviously, they're at different levels, Ben and Ennis. But to me, going through Clayton means that you're now moving into UGAS, Port, Furman, and the champions sort of entity.
I mean, what I will say though, just remember, like, Castillo was supposed to be Sergey Lipinets's coming out party at 147, and he spoiled that, and they had to rob him to give Lipinets a draw on the night. So yeah, I feel like I feel like Castillo knows that his his window of opportunity falters any time that he's now going to get beat. So I feel like he's going to come in his best possible condition. And like I said, even if he does lose this fight, I feel like he's going to put in a really good showing. And like I feel like Boots is going to have to work for whatever victory he gets if he does get it. The only other fight of note this weekend is Martin Bakole and Tony Yoka.
Tony Yoka. No, it's not the only one. I still got more. I got more for you.
I said the only one of note. What, you got more noteworthy fights?
So you've got that one, definitely. You
what else we got?
About that one first?
Show me the other noteworthy ones, and then we'll decide if we... Nah, that's not noteworthy. Yeah, so, okay. I won't say noteworthy, but I will be watching. I guess I will be watching that one.
Channel
Denzel
5
Bentley
free on Friday
and
night,
Linus
guys.
Didofia.
That's a good domestic scrap.
That's on Friday, isn't it?
It is on Friday on Channel 5 for free.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely be watching the main event. I don't have much interest in Thunders against Djokovic either. Djokovic, sorry. It's a comeback fight, to be honest, for Thunders, so that she can then be fed to someone else later on down the line. But it might be a good scrap. Josh Kelly finally coming back. I mean, I'll watch the card when I get home. I'll watch the card to be fair, but yeah, it's only really the main event that I'm interested in. I feel like Linus Udofia is gonna take that on points.
Ooh, really?
He's got good movement. I
do agree with you, but I got to go with Too Sharp, bro. I'm in the Denzel Bentley camp, bro. I think
okay. I mean, Bentley's got the power, but Udofia's got the movement and the skill. And I feel like he's got the better IQ out of the two of them. I feel like he won't allow himself to get overawed. I mean, this another one that it's good that we're not agreeing. So now we can have a lot to talk about next week.
Yeah.
But if we go back to Bakole and Yoka real quick,
let's talk. Let's get the guys in the chat. Put up your predictions for the Adolfi versus Bentley fight, guys, because I'm interested to see what the split is in amongst the group.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so Osborne's going for Too Sharp.
Come on, guys. Where's your get typing? Where are you? Let's be having ya. Who favors Linus over Denzel? All right, we'll have to move on then.
Bentley off the canvas has gone for Bentley. A-Ob says he can't pick. North Bank sitting on the fence.
So yeah, very interesting.
All right, let's let that populate.
Yeah.
Uncle Jonah says Bentley. Yeah, so let's talk about Yoka and Bakole real quick. While that's populating, we can come back to that in a moment. Yeah. Now, I personally think that Yoka's gonna put a bad beating on Bakole for two reasons. Number one, I feel like he's obviously just levels above him. Like he's obviously the taller guy, longer limbs, so he can keep it longer if he has to. He definitely doesn't need to play on the inside when it comes to that fight. But also, like Bakole cost him the Filip Hrgović final eliminator. And I feel like he's gonna have spite in his heart because he wanted his chance to sort of get up the rankings quicker for that title. Obviously, it was whatever happened between their camps to the fact that they did have a signed agreement, so you can't really just back out of contractual obligations. But yeah, I feel like he's just like, okay, you cost me, so now I'm gonna have to make it emphatic when we fight.
Interesting.
Let's see what the chat's saying. I got Richards over Bawatsi. Okay, that's a couple weeks, but thank you. Danny says I'm working at the Wasserman show on Friday. Okay. Like I got some more homework, McTasty and chips. That Bacoli Yoka fight gone under the radar. Yep. I think it might be on Fight TV still. Yoka is the real deal. I got Yoka in this one. Might have to go Bacoli. A-Op says Emma S. I'm a casual, so I can't pick. Of course you can. Pick for the sake of it. Who'd you like better, Emma?
You can't task her to make a choice if she doesn't know.
No, she's saying I'm a casual, so I can't pick. That's
so
not the truth. You don't have to be a hardcore to make a choice. You can pick for whatever criteria you want.
She doesn't know enough about the two guys, so you can't, in this situation, make a choice.
Oh yeah, Kovalev and Pulev as well. I forgot about that fight. That's happening on Friday, on Saturday as well.
That's on Triller, isn't it?
Triller, yeah.
But it's not Kovalev. That Kovalev. No.
It's Kovalev, but he's fighting Pulev's younger brother.
You Pulev's younger brother, yeah.
That's but Pulev is also on the card fighting.
Yeah, they're 2-0 fights. That's why I didn't put it, because when I looked at that card, I was like, that looks like a great headline, Kovalev versus Pulev. But when you look at what it is, you suddenly realize, hang on a second, this is somebody's brother getting on a headline because of he's got his brother's name. It's a bit like Huey Fury and Tommy Fury getting on a Fury card. And you think, oh, I'm going to go see the Fury. And it's not. It's the younger Fury.
Yeah, maybe. But, I mean, look, he's still a professional boxer, so hey.
That card's whacked, mate. The headline on that...
No one said it was a good card. It's just that it's on.
The headline on
I might give it a watch.
Bands playing
I've got a Triller account.
Boxing. So, Yoka too skilled. Rock, paper, scissors. Her says Yoka too juiced. Yoka. Emma, you can make an uneducated pick sometimes. Just go with your gut instinct. Off the canvas, I'm expecting a good performance from Yoka considering his amateur pedigree. How is Joyce on the verge of a title shot and Yoka ain't even 15 at the moment? Because Yoka ain't fought nobody. Yoka seems to be underachieving because of his ban. OTC is right.
Well, if you're gonna be real though, Yoka's probably fought pound for pound, with the exception of maybe Carlos Takam or maybe Daniel Dubois. I mean, he's fought just as good opponents as Joe Joyce has in his fights. If you look at them comparatively, forget about name value, but you know.
Really?
I mean, well, you got Christian Hammer. You got
Johnny Duhapas.
He's got what's it called as well. He's got Dave Allen on the record. He's got
I'm not gonna count Dave Allen.
Okay, you don't have to count that. That's fine. What's the guy that the French guy that Wilder fought?
Duhapas.
Yeah, Duhapas. He's got him on the record as well.
Yeah, that's it though. Christian Hammer and Duhapas. That's about it for me.
Now he's got someone else as well. He's got someone
Peter
else.
Milas and
Peter Milash.
Peter Milash, yeah.
There's him.
Jekko, Michael Wallish, Alexander Dimitrenko.
Yeah, I mean Dimitrenko and Valish were good opponents for the level, like for the time. Because that was like what, his 6th and his 7th fight.
Yeah.
But so I'm talking about if you look at it comparatively, his record is actually pretty good. It could be on par, if not a little bit better than Joe Joyce in terms of just the.
Joe's got the better record,
except for name value. Joe's got the names, but
yeah.
But it's fine. It's not something we need to argue about. I just feel like his level of opponents are comparable enough that maybe he should be a little higher up in some of the rankings.
Yeah.
If he's actually, paying sanctioning fees, that is. Maybe he's not.
Okay, so the people have spoken. Yoka is by popular demand the favorite for that one. I'm not quite so sure that he's the clear favourite. I do pick him to win, but I kind of expect Bakole to give him a lot of problems. So, you want to talk about Zerdo versus Bossell?
Not really.
No, okay.
Zerdo Ramirez is going to do a number on him. It's not going to be competitive at all.
No problem. Some more action for you Saturday night on Sky. We've got the cruiserweight tournament.
Oh, is that this week as well?
It is. I mean,
I'm gonna have to try and figure out when I'm gonna watch all of this stuff.
So yeah, we went from one fight card last week to loads of fight cards this week.
About 5.
So,
but at least they're all on different time zones, so they're a little staggered, which should help me out a little bit.
Yeah.
Gonna have to buy a couple on the apps. Yeah. I can just watch them before the show.
So, I think that's it, my friend.
Yeah, the nice. I'll say, are either West Ham fans or from East London? Who's that we're talking about? If you're referring to us, Emma, I'm definitely not a West Ham fan or from East London.
Yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan from North London.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, look, as I said, it was a pretty short one, but there's going to be a lot to discuss next week. So make sure you tune back in. From Tony, the reserved pugilist, to myself, the reserved KID of this boxing game. We want to send a big thank you to everyone who tuned in today and continues to tune in, week out. We're still kind of, getting the feet underneath us in terms of doing the shows. We appreciate all the support, all the feedback, everyone that comes in and rocks with us, everyone that watches after the fact as well, jumps in the comment section on the video playbacks. It's all appreciated. Next week we will be back with a bigger and better show. Both of us will be fully on code. We got some good things planned. I won't reveal it just yet, but because it will be coming up to fight week with Craig Richards and Joshua Bawatsi, so we're gonna have to talk about that quite considerably. But
and don't forget, both of us will be at that fight. So I know a number of the defeaters that have already booked tickets. If you haven't, talked to Danny at Fight Fan TV, because he has a number of tickets still. But yeah,
I don't even think he's got that many left. I think he's sold the majority of them.
Jump on that if you want to. But yeah, gonna be great to see the defeaters again, including Travis and KG will be in attendance that night. So looking forward to that, guys. That's going to be one for us to really, get together, have a little bit of banter, have a drink, and enjoy a night of good fight action.
And hopefully, if we're lucky enough, the wonderful and beautiful Miss October Red may also be in attendance with us, but we're still working out the contract on that one. We'll see where we get to. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Muller. I'm looking forward to seeing Danny. I'm looking forward to seeing Brendan. Ash, if he finally decides to come out of hiding and show his face to the defeaters.
You made the call into Alicia, mate. Get Alicia Baumgardner over, mate. What's that?
Well, yeah, maybe that one as well. I've got to make a couple phone calls.
Fighter, come on.
Make some phone calls. I'll make some phone calls. Don't worry. But guys, all right. Bless up, everyone. Stay safe, and we will chat to you next week. Look out for the pod coming out on Thursday. Undefeated Red News has been a little bit skewed at the moment, but that's going to be coming back in a big way as well. And then obviously Monday Night Smoke next week. Let's get ready for a big week ahead. Salute. Bless up. Have a good evening.
Take care, guys.